So this is the world of change. My name is Chaffraix. I work with Altran. Two introductory comments I would like to make. The first one, you see me dressed up as I should be in this country, is a sign of courtesy to this country. The second one is I will be using the word we when I speak about India today. Why it qualifies me to use the we is this is my 59th trip to India. I count all my trips to India. I've been doing this for the last 15 years in different companies. And I put this as a KPI to test when I meet people not from India, how much they know or how little they know about India. I consider I know 1% rounded of this country. When I go home, makes me an expert. This is very important because, as you will see in what I will say about this country, you have to think hard after what Paris was telling us today. It's the time for change. This country has to change. It's not about politics. It's about the world is changing. This country has caught up. This country has to change. We had to change as Altran. I will pronounce Altran the French way because it's a French company as we speak. Altran in India, 3 years ago, when the new CEO joined and I joined the company, I used to be in IBM and then Capgemini. When we joined, we realized that the ER&D services market would go through the similar transformation than IT and BPO 20 years before. But it would take a different route. But since we didn't have capabilities, we were a typical classic French engineering company in those days. And then our Indian operations at the end of 15 were about 1,000 people. In our strategy, Dominic Cerruti put it at the forefront to say, we will put India as one of our 3 priorities. 3 years later, this is what we are today. Today, we're about 14,000 colleagues in this country. But you should know that behind those numbers, because you will quickly realize that I'm not putting too much importance on numbers, I'm putting more importance on people. You will realize that India 1 is great, but France 2 means something for the rest of the company as to what has to change. We have built comprehensive capabilities in India because we believe in India, not because we want to mimic what happened in IT and BPO. We believe in this country for its talent. I always say, talent comes first, cost comes second. Because if you don't have the talent, nobody's cheap. It's with regard to talent that you can be competitive. Because there is another threat, which is automation, which costs nothing. So you have to keep the talent at the forefront, and then you can discuss economics. So we deployed our 4-pillar rationale. I don't call this a strategy, it's a rationale, where we said for India, we need to achieve unmatched scale and scope. We have to implement our model, which is our industrialized global show model, which brings it together. We need superior expertise in key technology, and we need leadership across industry verticals. This coming just after Paris, you can understand the challenge. To do this, we went acquisitive with this in mind. We bought 4 companies. As you can notice, I am not putting the names of those companies. It's on purpose. It's on purpose. They're all Altran colleagues, including the last one who joined us. And there are 27 colleagues of my team in India who are in this room, which is the leadership of India. They are here, all of them. So when you look at today's, creating our capabilities and not just buying headcounts. We're not interested in buying headcounts. We're interested in skills in a given model that spans the world. On the Industrialized Global Show, so just to get this perspective, having 5 global delivery centers, India being one, but of course being more than one, around the world, with Mexico, Ukraine, North Africa, and Portugal, we have wired the world in front of our clients. So we can always present what we do in India in front of our clients. All the companies we have acquired were working with that operating model. So there is no disturbance as we integrate to say it all goes the same way. Each come with their specifics, but it's wired to the same. And then we said, okay, we said scale, diverse industries, technology solution, we have it all. This is the most classic chart you could see. That's where we are. Now, what do we do? How do we build the next India? How do we move away from counting headcounts, pretending China was a sweatshop and we're not a sweatshop here? Of course we're a sweatshop. We can't bullshit ourselves using American terminology. We cannot. This world has to change. So there are 5 questions I'm asking. The first question is, how about our engineers? We discuss millions of this, millions of that. Yes, it's a reality. So what? The question is not whether we have millions. The question is quality versus quantity. What is the quality of those people when we know that for some reports that have been going on now for 1 year in India, 7% only of the Indian engineers are reported as being able to tackle complex engineering problems. 7%. Where do you... Second point is theory versus practice. In the Indian culture, when you go through one of the many thousand institutes and engineering schools, what you call engineering, in other cultures, you could call university theoretical domains or engineering school practicing school. In France, when you go to an engineering school, you do mostly practice, taught by engineers who come from the industry. Of course, you learn the theory, but you immediately go to practicing. In many engineering schools in this country, you learn theory. Sometimes you go to practice, but sometimes you go to practice and find out that you're educated by people who have never practiced, or really practiced, or practiced 30 years before. So this thing about how many is important, but for a business like mine, I'm not that excited. We're missing those. We're missing those. We have a lot of expertises which are not the hard ones. These are the 2 hard ones. Why? The first one, which I call project management, program management, is a way to operate. It's a way to work in front of a client. It's a way to commit. It's a way to take risks. It's a way to manage progression, results, performance. It's tough. It's difficult. It's not about pushing a problem to the left, from the left to the right. It's more than this. It takes human skills. It takes leadership. The second one is about end-to-end. The clients don't want piecemeal slice and dice. That was for IT SAP process days. That's over. That's over. The new world of engineering calls for people who can master complex problems end-to-end and not send the clients to fix them by themselves and integrate. We're missing those skills. We have to train those skills. Now the question is, are we in India, jack of all trades, or master of none? Lack of domain knowledge. We have not developed enough domain knowledge because there are many reasons that Barry alluded to. The second point is commodity perception. India is still perceived as a commodity. It's a commodity. So do we want to master things? Do we want to get on it to change this? The fact that people believe outside this country, for those who know this country, that what you'll get in India is what you'll get. But don't expect more. The contract will be executed. Things will happen. but don't expect more. That's the jack of all trades. So mastering this for us is also to do with the mindset. We have to change the mindset. The mindset in India, and I put the quote, it's not from me, it's from an engineer of 25 years. 25 years. If it works, don't fix it. If you go to the US with that mindset, you won't stand 10 seconds. In the US, it is, if it works, let's make sure we differentiate by creating something new. If it works, doesn't mean anything. It's already a commodity if it works. Let's invent a new thing. It's a mindset. But if we go to work, driving our people, leading our people, just to get the job done, that's the old mindset that will bring no evolution and no change. This is probably the worst of all. How many people do this day in, day out? Is it there are better opportunities outside India? Or are we incapable of developing them? What we can observe here is that 1 million of engineers and scientists coming from India today are in the US. That's an official statistic. I believe it's far more. Far more. Who is this million? Where do they come from? They are driving businesses, new businesses. Are we letting go our best people? Are we doing this? They start with college, then they go and they get a visa, and then they get hired. Why do we doing this? Why are we doing this to this country? Which country in the world would let its best people go? And again, having in mind that those best people could have the mindset that this country is struggling to get. Why do we do this? Is it because the other guys are offering better conditions? Or is it that we are not helping them develop here? It's probably a bit of both. But it doesn't come as an explanation for failure. This is failure. As a country, we're failing. Because if we can't tell our people, best or not the best of them, you should stay here, develop here, have the right mindset, do difficult things, take risks, do things differently, learn a new domain. Don't just be good, be better, work on it. Why would they stay? And then they will come back once when the parents age, look after the parents, and then after that they will leave again. They'll probably go east, further east, could go back west, depends. We cannot have a country like this. This is for me the major failure. We have failed. Do we have a vibrant and innovative ecosystem? Yes. No. No, we don't. We think we do, because we're back to big numbers. So 5,000 startups or 5,500, well, these are big numbers. But if the startups do Me Too, if they don't differentiate, they're just new businesses. They could even be distributors of worldwide companies who they have differentiated with new models, with new services, reinventing things, etc. But if most of our startups are basically replicating something else, just call them new companies, that's enough. They don't deserve the term startups, which means that there is new adrenaline into it, that there is innovation into it, not just Me Too and copy-paste. Also, we think we're innovating. Now, this word innovation, I'm very cautious with, because I'm not a strong believer of that word. I think it's just a parking lot of many things. But just by the count of patents, if patents represent any level of innovation, India has produced 1,423 patents last year. South Korea. Hello, Houston? Yeah. Works? Okay. China, 30,000. Japan, 44,000. We have produced here 1,423 patents. I think on the R&D spend, you need to spend money on this. R&D spend, this country spends as much as the largest corporations are spending, the Samsungs of the world, etc. They are spending dozens and dozens of billions. This country is spending the same. So when we discuss big numbers on people, on engineers, on everything, the numbers are huge. When we get really serious on what are the numbers that matter, then the numbers are just minimum. So we again have to shift this attention to what matters. But when we are discussing vibrant, innovative stuff, I mean, this is where the battle is. So if the startups don't come up with differentiating technologies, why don't we look at the root causes of this? And then you roll back to everything we've been saying about mindset, about project management, about end-to-end solution, about fixing real issues, about keeping the best people in this country, not let them go develop a new idea somewhere else. So then we are, in the sense, trying to project. Now, we as a company, we are working with clients who want that sort of India. When we work in India, and we're still discussing hourly rates. Sounds familiar? Yeah? How many rupees per hour? Does that include travel or not travel? Does that include this? That's daily life in India. We're discussing hourly rates, and then we discuss what the guy should be doing. Wait a minute. Isn't it the other way around? What is the guy supposed to do, and then what is the value of that person, given the value of what that person will produce? But day in, day out, we discuss hourly rates. You could not challenge me on hourly rates in India. I'm an expert. I can tell you what you get for 18 USD, 21 USD, 24.6, 31.2. I can do it in rupee. I will do it in crores. I will do it in lakhs. Don't challenge me. I can do it. For what value? For no value. And the point is that as much as we can discuss the big words like innovation, R&D, solution, fixing problems, startups, etc., the taxonomy is not good because we use the right words to describe the wrong things. And that's where we have to crack this. We have to crack this. So, to close this, what do we need to do in this country? What do we need to do? Do we need to go and do like the Chinese? Do we need to do and do like the Americans? Do we need to copy-paste? Do we need to just say petrify to say this is too big to crack? I think it's very simple. It's about leadership. It is all about leadership. The people who really understand the problem. The people who have the courage, sheer courage, to break this old boys school system, to break this old club thing of the Indian companies that were developed after the Brits left. The Brits are still here. You still play cricket. You still go to clubs. Still old boy stuff going on. There's a lot of old boy stuff. I've seen it in action. I've worked with it myself. Because when you buy companies, you talk to people. This is blocking the system. So it's a young, huge tide of young engineers coming up. You still have this old leadership, I am bored thing that Perry described. So the new leadership that this country must embrace is not copying anyone. You're not copying the French, the Americans, the Japanese. You have to be the Indians. We are the Indians in India. You have more than you need to change. You're the hub of the world. But you're not a sweatshop doing back office BPO, back office IT, counting SAP transactions day in, day out. Don't worry, that will get automated. That will go away. The only question is how many years it will take. Probably not many, but that will go away. It's a given. But if leadership, a new leadership, doesn't embark with a strong will and guts to go fix it, nobody else can do it for you. Thank you very much.